or first graders if you're watching this too, although this will be a little bit harder for you, but see what you can do. Today, I have another lesson for you that I can share from the publisher Heinemann. It is in our LLI, our blue book. Today we are going to do a word ladder, meaning we are going to take a word and then we are going to change the beginning, the middle, or the end to build other words from similar letters. We are going to make quite a long list with just changing a few simple letters. Pretty cool. We can do that by our word patterns and our word parts that we've been practicing. And then we will read a new book. It is a classic story. I'm pretty sure you've heard at least one of these versions before, but I think you'll like this one, and I'm going to read it for you. So, let's get started. I'm going to show you my blank document that we are going to work from. So you know a lot about letters and words. When you see a word that you do not know, you got to think about a letter, a part of the word, or a word that you know to help you solve or read the new word. So that's what today is going to be about. So my first word is asleep. Well, let's take away a letter, and now we have the word sleep. Well, let's change a little bit, and now our new word is going to be slept. Now these are a little bit small. Let me make them slightly bigger. Okay, so sleep changed to slept. Notice the E, the vowel, the sound change. We went from a double E combination that said E to only one E that says slept. Okay, let's change slept. We're going to take away a couple letters, and now we're going to make the word kept. Now we're going to change the ending and change the middle. The word is keep. Just like sleep and asleep, now we have keep. Let's change keep. We're changing the beginning and the end to make the word seed. Now we're changing a bunch, well, the middle, the completely middle sound, keeping that S. Change in the middle, ound, sound. Change the beginning to a F, found. Change the beginning to ul and take away the N, loud, allowed, adding an A. Changing the ending, keeping that A, we can say A or and then this word. Let me scroll that down. Along, changing the ending, alone, taking away that A, keeping the lone, adding an ending, lonely, and then one more, changing lone, changing one letter. Oh, I don't want that to do that. Let's see if I can change one thing, my friends. Oh, perfect. Almost. Our list is way too long. Imagine that. Lonely, let's change it to lovely. Wow, that is so cool. So on each word, we only had to change a little bit to make a new word. So I'm going to start at the top and read them. Asleep, sleep, slept, kept, keep, seed, sound, found, loud, allowed, along, alone, lonely, and lovely. A lot of these, so cool. I love word patterns and words, especially the more that I teach them, I can see the little stuff, the little parts, and it really makes you see words differently. It's pretty cool. Okay, I want to go over one word that is going to be in our story. The word is beautiful. Well, if you clap out the syllables in that, beautiful. 3 parts, okay? But I like to break it apart by almost spelling it. I like to say B-E-A-U-tiful. And if I go say that over and over in my head, I can spell it easily. So in the beginning, B-E-A-U-tiful. So if you were able to follow that, B-E-A-U-tiful. So actually 4 parts. Beautiful. So you can hear the B in the beginning, represented by an E-A vowel combination. Then U is by itself, says its name, T. You just have to know those two sounds, T, and then full. So anytime I spell this word, I actually say it just like that in my head when I'm writing it. B-E-A-U, Tiful. So if that helps you spell that word carefully, put it in your brain somewhere because it really helps me. So beautiful. So this word is going to be an important piece in our book today. Let me show you that new story. The Ugly Duckling. Have you heard this story before? Probably. Most likely. So you probably know exactly what happens in this story. Remember, this is one version of this story. It is a classic story. There are multiple versions. Many different authors like to take the story idea and theme and lesson and create it and change it a little bit with their own words and illustrations. So they modify this story, or in this case, retold. This one's retold by Marianne Dobeck. Okay, so I'm going to read this for you, and I just want you to really pay attention carefully, and then I want you to read it yourself. You'll notice in this story, the text or the writing is much smaller than usual. So let's get started. The Ugly Duckling. One day, a mother duck felt her eggs begin to shake. One by one, the eggs cracked open. 8 yellow ducklings poked out their heads. Peep, peep, they said. Quack, quack, said Mother Duck. But one duck did not. Ooh, did you see what I did there? Made a mistake. I'm going to go back and fix it. But one egg did not crack. One very big egg. With this hyphen here, that dash, the author wants you to pause and really be careful reading that. Mother Duck sat on the big egg for a few more days. Finally, it cracked open. Out popped a big bird. Oh, said Mother Duck, you do not look like my other ducklings, but I am your mother, and I love you. The yellow ducklings made fun of the new bird. You do not look like us, they said. You are big and gray. You are an ugly duckling. This made the new bird very sad. You do not look like my other ducklings, said Mother Duck, but I am your mother, and I love you. The ugly duckling looked for someone to play with. He went to the farm pond. Will you swim with me? He asked. No, said the ducklings, you are too ugly. No, said the frogs and turtles, you are an ugly duckling. How do you think the new duckling, is feeling? I bet you can guess. Then he tried the farmyard. Will you play with me? He asked. No, no, said the horses, you are too ugly. No, said the pigs, and they laughed at him. The sad, ugly duckling went back to the farm pond. So sad. No one will play with me, he said to Mother Duck. I am too ugly. You do not look like the other ducklings, said Mother Duck, but I am your mother, and I love you. But the ugly duckling was not happy, so he flew away. I want to stop right here and point out that the mother duckling has said this sentences, more than one time. That must mean that's pretty important. But I am your mother, and I love you. That is so important. Let me keep going. Soon, the ugly duckling found a small pond. No one could say he was ugly. No one could make fun of him. Time passed, and the ugly duckling grew up. His wings were wider, his neck was longer, his feathers had turned white. He had changed, but he did not know it. Then, one day, 2 big white birds flew over the pond. What beautiful birds, thought the ugly duckling. I hope they stop to visit. I am lonely. The birds flew lower and lower and landed in the pond with a splash. "Hello," said the ugly duckling. "Who are you?" "We are swans," said the big white birds, "just like you." "I am not a swan," said the ugly duckling. "I am an ugly duckling." The swans laughed. "Look down at the water," they said. "What do you see?" The ugly duckling looked down at the water. "You are right," he cried. "I am a beautiful swan." There's that word, beautiful. Wow, I wonder why the ugly duckling never looked at his reflection in the water before until now. The ugly duckling was very happy to be a beautiful swan. He flew off at once to visit the farm. "Hello," he said. "Do you remember me?" "No," said the ducks. "No, no," said the frogs and turtles. "We've never seen you before," sniffed the horses and pigs. "I am the ugly duckling," cried the swan. Notice they changed his name. Be careful with that. All the animals said, "You are too beautiful to be the ugly duckling." "I grew up to be a beautiful swan," he said. All the animals were happy to be with such a beautiful bird. Then the swan saw Mother Duck. "Hello, I am your ugly duckling," he said. Mother Duck did not care if he was a duckling or a swan. She said, "You do not look like my other ducklings, but I am your mother, and I love you." Haven't we heard that exact sentence more than one time in this story? That makes me think about the lesson or the moral of this story is that it's okay to be different. There are many ways of being beautiful, and your mother always loves you. Despite being different or hard, she still loves you. So thinking about this even more, was there kind of a problem in this story? Yeah. In the very beginning, the swan was born differently, the duckling, let's call it, and he didn't know why. And no one else really cared for him except the mother, of course. No one wanted to play with him. He was very lonely. And then finally he got so lonely and so sad and upset he left and went to be alone. But finally he grew up, and he wouldn't have known his change if it wasn't for the two swans that flew down and talked to him. So thankfully those two swans were there to help, to make the ugly duckling feel like somebody, like someone, to not be lonely anymore. So finally they made the ugly duckling feel happy, changed. And then finally, the new swan, I will call him, went back to his old family, and finally they all accepted him into the family. So, if you are interested in the play version, we've talked about this before, you may assign people characters to be and then read them. Remember, when you read it, you don't say narrator and then begin to speak. You are the narrator. You start speaking, okay? You are the mother duck. You start speaking. So I'll show you these parts and then we will finish this up. I hope you enjoyed that version of The Ugly Duckling. If you have time, feel free to go to the internet or maybe your bookshelf and see if you have another version of The Ugly Duckling. And I want you to compare and contrast them. See what's similar and see what's different. I'm sure there'll be a lot of similarities and differences. All right, thanks for tuning in and have a great rest of your day.